Hey guys, Crystal the Polish Geek here, and I'm going to talk about the Pope's Exorcist. What I think about the movie? Well, it was decent. It was even good, I say, but ultimately not quite as good as I hoped it would be. Yeah, it was entertaining and had a pretty okay story, and yeah, it wasn't bad, and Russell Crowe does a good job, but ultimately, as I already said, it again wasn't quite as good as I hoped it would be. Because ultimately, it sometimes feels more like a ripoff of a much better movie, The Exorcist, from the 70s. Which, by the way, is still probably my favorite horror movie of all time. Horror isn't really my go-to genre, but my favorite horror movie is by far The Exorcist. This movie is just so amazing and it speaks to my Catholic faith, plus it's so scary. Which actually, here comes the main problem with the Pope's Exorcist, but we'll get to it a little later. First, I'll tell you the overall story and overall what I did like about the Pope's Exorcist. The story is actually pretty interesting. It's about an American widow who takes her two children, Henry and Amy, to Spain, and then, of course, her son Henry gets possessed by a demon. So, of course, Vatican sends Father Gabriel to save the boy. And by the way, Father Gabriel is actually a real-life person who really existed. So that actually made it kind of even more interesting, even though I don't think it landed quite well later. But oh well, again, we'll get to it later. But yeah, the story overall is, as I said, pretty interesting. And as I said, I think Russell Crowe does a phenomenal job playing Father Gabriel. Like as I said, my favorite Russell Crowe movie is probably still Gladiator, but again, neither here nor there. Again, Russell Crowe does a fantastic job portraying Father Gabriel. The supporting characters also pretty good. I love Julia, the character who is a single mother now, who has to manage a job of raising two kids after her husband died, and then her daughter, Amy, is a typical rebellious teenager, and then her son Henry is basically traumatized after the loss of his father and has never spoken since the father died. So I think honestly he's a pretty logical and right candidate to be possessed by a demon. And then the local priest is also pretty interesting, whom the family initially turns to save Henry before turning ultimately to Father Gabriel. And here comes actually also my first issue of the movie. The Pope in the movie appears, and obviously because of the time period, it obviously should be Pope John Paul II. And it probably is, but honestly, I don't think he was well casted, especially his beard, because the guy looks nothing like Pope John Paul II. Then again, I think they should probably cast a much better guy to play Pope John Paul II. For example, in the Story of Two Popes, the Netflix movie, I think Jonathan Pryce is simply phenomenal to play Pope Francis, especially they kind of even look alike. So yeah, Jonathan Pryce was simply phenomenal as Pope Francis in the Two Popes. But in this movie, even though the Pope is never named, I don't think they picked a right candidate to play Pope John Paul II. Honestly, yeah, definitely not. So that's, I guess, my first small flaw with the movie. And my other problem with the movie, and that's probably the main one, is that the movie isn't really scary. I don't know if that's because of the original Exorcist or whatever, but yes, the movie didn't really feel scary to me one bit. I was engaged while watching the movie, the story was interesting, but overall, moments that were supposed to be scary for some reason didn't really scare me, and for none of them really I was scared. In fact, I kind of felt like I predicted the movie was going to go in the direction that it went. So yeah. And another problem I had with the movie, and that's probably also a slightly bigger problem is that the ending ultimately felt pretty anticlimactic. It wasn't bad by any means, but I feel it could be so much more. But then again, this is something I'm not going to spoil for you. But the ending, while not bad, I feel could be a little bit more. It was kind of anticlimactic for my tastes. And back to positives, actually, the one more thing I like is overall character of Father Gabriel Amroth. Like I already said, that Russell Crowe is phenomenal in the role, and now I'm going to say what I love about the character. I love that he isn't like some superhero priest that chances are most modern Hollywood make him. No, he's actually very much a human. Like, he's certainly a veteran exorcist, and he has experience with exorcism a lot, but deep down he's just a good human being who wants to help people and who's also very devoted and deep in his faith. And I also love the conflict between him and the modern church, like especially this other character, Cardinal Sullivan, who doesn't really believe in the devil. He actually most believes that evil is abstract. He doesn't, like, state of mind. He doesn't really believe that actual evil exists. While Father Gabriel Amroth very much believes in that and even thinks that by denying that evil exists, basically will allow it to flourish. Like, I mean, Father Gabriel believes it literally, while in real life, and I like that metaphor, like, as I said, Father Gabriel very much believes it literally, but whether you believe it literally or not is a different story, because from an objective standpoint, believing it metaphorically at least very much makes sense. Because let's say, yeah, for example, in real life, someone is using drugs, but you completely don't pay attention to it. Let's say your kid is on drugs, but you don't pay attention to it. You completely pretend like it's not happening. Chances are your kid will use more and more drugs until he or she will be in a terrible state of mind. This is just one example, but it's perfect. If you turn a blind eye to evil, it will flourish. And as I already said, in this movie it's literal, but you know what I mean. And as I already said, another reason I was excited for this movie, and this actually I think it didn't do bad, but I honestly think that a much better movie did it much better many years ago, and I'm again talking about The Exorcist, but the movie again kind of speaks to my Catholic religion. Yeah. So overall, The Pope's Exorcist is a good time, I say, and if you like horror movies, though, I think that you're much better off seeking the original Exorcist from the 70s. If you want a movie with some good Catholic themes, I think this might be a movie for you, but again you have a still much better movie out there, which is again The Exorcist. So overall, again, The Pope's Exorcist is a good movie, but I think it's sometimes hard to rewatch it when you already know you have a much better movie out there, The Exorcist from the 70s. So yeah. Thank you guys for checking out this video. Press the like button, please subscribe this channel, and I will talk to you soon in another video. Talk to you later, bye!